Wendy and I always get a big kick out of meeting people who listen to our program. And when Channel 5 had its 75th anniversary party at the History Museum, I met a young man named Dustin Soper who told me about his Illinois days and what got him to Nashville. And the story was so fascinating that we invited Justin to come on the show today. Justin, thanks for joining us. Dustin, sorry.
Good morning.
We have a Justin after you, Dustin.
Yeah. We have Dustin and Justin back to back. Stuff is going to happen.
I get that a lot.
Okay, Dustin, let's go back to your days in college. What were you doing that ended up landing you a job in the entertainment industry?
So one of my best friends at the time and I were going to college together, and we were studying like website design, and it was at an art college in Chicago, and we needed a creative outlet for all this stuff that we're learning. And I was doing a Reba McIntyre fan website at the time, and so was he. And it's like, well, we can pool our resources together and just do something very big. At the time, the internet was just coming into form, and we did that. And her folks saw what we were doing and liked it, and so we got to meet her a handful of times. And then one afternoon, I was back home in Centralia, and I got an email that says, we would like to talk to you sometime today. And I said, okay. And we talked, and they said, we just let go of the woman who was doing our website, and we would like to hire you. We can only have one of you. And my friend, thankfully, kudos to him, he said, take it, go for it. And that was how it all started.
So you moved from Illinois to Nashville?
I did. I lived in Centralia for about a year doing this work kind of remotely, and I thought, I need to move to Nashville. That's where everything's happening with Reba and with the country music community. And if I want to be a part of the fun stuff and not just the work, I need to move to Nashville.
And what year was this, Dustin?
This was 2005.
Okay, so give us some inside dope about Reba McIntyre and what she was like as a boss.
I did not really hear from her too much. She had, a very big organization at the time, and my boss was her vice president of marketing. And so the only time I would ever hear from Reba is if something didn't look quite right, and she would say, you have to realize that I am not techie, so I need to be able to use these websites easily because she had a website for herself, and she also has a Dillard's clothing line, and we had several websites for things she was doing with Dillard's. And she said, I want my customers to be able to navigate these sites pretty easily. When I did see her backstage at a concert or at an event, she was absolutely wonderful. And we run into each other every now and then, and she still is.
And what about Shania Twain?
So Shania Twain, a person who's become a very dear friend of mine now, Tracy, was kind of the curator of Shania's museum in her hometown. And she would come to Nashville for the big fanfare CMA Music Festival. And we met and we got to know each other. And I said, I need to work for Shania somehow. And she didn't know how that would work because Shania is a superstar, and she was just kind of running a museum and didn't really interact with Shania that much. Shania would just send things to the museum, that sort of thing. And anyway, Tracy ended up really being liked by Shania for the work she was doing, and Shania asked her to run her charity for underprivileged kids in Canada and now in the U.S. And Tracy said, I'm here. Let me see what I can do. And she got me kind of a 1-year gig running social media for the charity Shania Kids Can.
Well, I love the photos that you sent us of you with Reba and Shania.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, for those of us who are just fans and who don't know anything about how they hire people, it would make sense to hire from within your fan base, right?
It just depends.
Depends on the person, sure.
I think it depends on the person, but from my perspective, the squeaky wheel got the grease.
You were persistent. Yeah. What is most surprising to you about both of the performers?
Well, as far as Reba goes, I didn't get to spend too much time with Shania, but Reba is the same person, whether it's 3 people in the room, 3,000 people in the room, or 3 million people in the room. She's just that nice. And it's always been that way, and I've never seen anything different.
Well, and I think, did you watch the Shania documentary?
Not yet,
the new one?
no.
Okay.
Have you watched it, Dustin?
Yes, you should watch it. I'm ready to watch it again. It is good. It is very good. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know.
It's really good, and what's interesting is that they've done a little bit of a more comprehensive look at what happened to her when her parents were killed, what her young life was like. They kind of glossed over that a little bit in the VH1 special, but that they used to the behind the music specials. But it's definitely worth a look. What was interesting was so much ink was spilled over her divorce. The fact that her husband left Mutt Lange, who was largely credited with her phenomenal success, that he left her for her best friend. Ugh. She turns around and marries her best friend's husband. I mean,
is that a revenge marriage?
But no, it's a country music song, I guess. But Dustin, it sounds like Shania might be happy at last, huh?
I think she's happy at last, and from a fan's perspective, I need Mutt back in her life just a little bit because that music was the greatest, and we need more of that. Mutt Lange, Shania Twain.
I agree with you, and I don't know that will happen. I agree with you, and I'm so glad you said it because I was afraid to. But you're the insider, so you can say anything, and I'll ride on your coattails.
Well, we all need to say it, so everyone needs to say it. We got to get that going again.
Dustin Soper, it was a pleasure to meet you in person a couple of weeks ago, and we have really enjoyed chatting with you today. And thank you for listening to our program.
Of course, you guys are fantastic. Thank you very much.
And being an official co-host. Thank you.
Take care.
Sounds good to me.
Take care,
Thanks.
Dustin. Yeah, I was afraid to say that. I was really afraid to say that.
He is such a bright and happy and sunshiny person.
Yes, he is.